There's this one year I keep going back to in my head. The friends at the time, the vibes, and the way life just felt more peaceful. But no matter how many times I revisit it mentally and over memories, I always end up stuck comparing, craving, or wishing I was back there. And I realized nostalgia was low-key ruining my growth, like for a very long time. Your brain is wired to remember the past even more fondly than it really was. And I feel like almost everyone can relate to that. Ex-girlfriends, you feel like maybe the relationship really wasn't that bad, you know? Or your childhood. Like how many of you guys have went back to go play an old video game and you realize the mechanics were actually fucking garbage, but the 6-year-old self loved that game? Your brain remembers the past a little different, and that wiring can sabotage your future. Let's talk about why nostalgia isn't just harmless reminiscing. It might actually be your biggest enemy. So recently I wanted to make this video because I realized that I've kind of been overcoming my insane nostalgia feeling. Like I feel nostalgia so much my entire life I have. Recently I've kind of overcome it in a weird way, and it was when I started to realize that looking backwards is keeping me from moving forward. Like I realized when I got into a scary place where I had to step forward, you know, some type of growth or something new or some type of change, that I would run to a nostalgic time in my life for emotional safety. I would idealize a past time in my life, and it would cause me to stagnate because I would not take that step forward. Instead, I would go to this old comfort zone that doesn't exist anymore. Nostalgia is a very beautiful thing. I love going back and playing my old video games and, you know, reminiscing on the amazing, beautiful times, and sometimes even a tear comes to my eye. You know, I love thinking about my childhood, just when life was so beautiful. But when you get stuck in the little whirlpool of it, it can harm you a lot more than it could do good, because those times are gone. And no matter what you do, you can try to recreate it. You could try to play the old games. You could try to go to the old spots. You could try to create the old friendships, but the time is gone and all that's left is memory. I feel like nostalgia can kind of be a form of like avoidance. Like it distracts you from dealing with present challenges because you run to a time when you had it all figured out, like when shit was cool, when shit was sweet. And I feel like nostalgia has a positive connotation. You know, when people think of nostalgic things, nostalgic vibes, oh my god, that's so nostalgic for me, it's always a positive thing. Like it's always a beautiful thing about their childhood. But people don't really think about how constantly obsessing over that period or multiple periods of your life can actually hinder your growth as a human and hold you back. How many of you miss a time? Every single one of us misses a time in our life. And when you really step back and remove emotions from it, not all situations, but a lot of situations, you realize that now is actually better and you're low-key tripping. I feel like a lot of us spend a lot of time doing our absolute best to protect that young, innocent self inside of us, you know, and that's why we run to nostalgia a lot, because a lot of us are so corrupted by society and everything around us that we try to look for that little boy that still lingers inside of us, little boy or girl, and like protect him, you know, and make him happy. You know, seeing yourself in that old light, you know, that young, innocent light, even if you've outgrown that version, it holds you back from becoming who you're meant to be next. It's time for us to let go and be present. You know, it's time for us to live in the now. We need to be grateful for what is today. I feel like when you're feeling super nostalgic, you can also kind of hate that the period you're in now. I remember when I was in the peak of it, you know, I was buying like so many old video games, and everything I did was surrounded around things that 6-year-old me would love. And it was very enjoyable for a little while until I realized that I haven't given a fuck about anything in my present life in months. Like I went months without thinking about anything that's happening in the world now. And I kind of became like out of touch very quickly. You know, so I feel like practicing gratefulness, it helps you shift the focus from what you had to what you've got now. Sure, Steph Curry's retiring, but you know, there'll be a new guy. Can't say we hate the NBA now because certain players are leaving. You gotta just suck it up and keep it pushing. Things are different. They just naturally are. You know, I almost imagine this scene where I'm having a meeting with like the little 8-year-old me, and I almost like make peace with him and kind of forget him or like kill him in a weird way. And I know it sounds very cynical, but I accept that it happened. You know, like I accept that that little guy was happy and life was so much easier and he had no responsibility and he lived it up and it shaped who I am now, but it's not my home. You know, like I can't stay here. It's almost like if your grandparent died and you were hanging out with their ghost. Like you would love it and you would cherish that moment, but you would know that it's not forever and you would have to move on from it sometimes. So that's what I mean when I say I kind of like kill my little young self, because he wants me to stay behind. You know, he wants me to not work and enjoy my little life and play on my little 3DS and all those type of things. You know, I'm grown. I have grown responsibilities. We're all grown and we have to grow up, and it sucks. I hate it, but we have to. So you kind of have to put that little guy down. You know, little you got to put him down, or even previous you, even if it's just 3 years ago that you're feeling nostalgic over. You got to put that guy away. I think about it this way, like my head is like a filing cabinet of a bunch of different eras. All of us have a bunch of eras of ourselves, and they all come with different nostalgic vibes. You know, maybe one era of you, the clothing you wore was so nice and you're so nostalgic over it, or the weather, the feeling of the air at a certain point in your life, or the friend groups that you had at this point in your life. And you can store all those people. I store all the eras of me. I'll never forget any of those people. But you have to understand that not only can you literally not go back, but you probably shouldn't. You know, it's a new time, it's a new day and age, and we need to grow as people. This was just a little rant about nostalgia. You know, I still love everything from the 2000s. I'm obsessed with the 2000s, but I need to look in 2025 to grow as a person, and that's kind of just what it is. But I do want to say there's absolutely nothing wrong with reminiscing on the beautiful times when you were younger and everything was so much more simpler and you think you were so much happier back then. You know, there's nothing wrong with smiling at the fact that you got to live that beautiful life when you were younger, but you can't let it affect your future and the present. We've got to snap back into reality and keep it pushing to make sure that we keep growing. Growth lives in discomfort, and nostalgia tries its very, very best to avoid that. I know this video was a little bit on the shorter end. It's under 10 minutes, surprisingly. We've been having a lot of longer videos, but I hope you guys did enjoy this video. You know, this was just on my mind for a little while. I've been thinking about nostalgia and how overcoming it has actually kind of helped me in a sad but meaningful way. You know, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Let me know down in the comments down below if you guys are struggling with nostalgia or different ways that you've been able to overcome nostalgia. I love talking to you guys in the comments. It's my favorite thing to do in the world. So please stop by down there, even if it's something short. And yeah, I will see you guys all when I see you guys.